Annyeonghaseyo, this is meowmurai. Let's continue our game of Despera Drops running on Nintendo Switch 2.
世界のすべてを盗んであげるよ。
もう引き返せない。
これでいいか。
来るの遅いよ。これでオッケー？
はい。サリ、王冠の警備システムについて何か分かった？
昼間だから赤外線センサーは切ってあるみたいだけど、そのガラスケースには振動を感知するセンサーがあるみたい。
つまり勝手にガラスケースを開けようとしたり壊したりしたら防犯ベルが鳴るということですか。まあ当然の対応ですよね。
それが防犯ベルが鳴るだけならいいんだけど、ケースが壊れたり揺れたりするみたいな異常を感知すると王冠が台座の中に回収されちゃって、そのまま地下の厳重な金庫室に一直線みたいだよ。
おお、それは想像以上に本格的なセキュリティですね。スパイ映画みたいでちょっとかっこいいですが厄介ですね。
地下金庫まで取りに行ってる時間はねえぞ。
Just like Ash said, if that ended up happening, we would never make it in time for the exchange.
サリ、そのセンサーをハッキングで無効にできないの？
なんか無理っぽい。センサーはネットワークでの管理じゃなくて展示台そのものに仕掛けられてるみたいだから。
なんかガラスケースの中に細長いアンテナみたいのが伸びてるけど、もしかしてこれ？
多分それですね。わずかな傾きや揺れも感知するセンサーだと思われます。ちょっと厄介ですね。
Is Ram's lightning speed enough? Maybe Camel's bomb can destroy it. Gib, can you take care of it?
大事なことは忘れないように。これでオッケー？
I mean, that's a really strange choice to ask Gib to do it, but is that the one?
ジブさんにお願いできませんか？
私が？それはここからケースの中にあるセンサーを狙撃するという意味か？
はい。ここから王冠の場所までは一直線です。
I glanced at the museum across the road from us. If I looked beyond the entrance and the garden, I had a faint view of the hall where the crown was exhibited.
そりゃここからもカブリオレが見えるから確かに一直線だけど、さすがのジブでも無理じゃね？このセンサーってボールペンくらいの太さだぜ。
距離にして50メートルといったところか。確かに角度的には不可能ではない。途中に障害となる人間がいなければ。だがな。
Gib aimed his scope at the museum and peered into it.
もしもジブ氏が撃てるのなら、ついでにガラスケースも砕けて一石二鳥ですね。
だが館内は結構混んできたぞ。こんな状況で狙撃なんて本当にできるのか？
スコープを覗いてしまうと視界が狭まって周囲の人の動きが見えなくなる。それなりに危険な賭けになるだろ
だったら私が監視カメラの映像で人の流れを見ながらジブさんに狙撃のタイミングを伝えます。
そうだな。それならできるかもしれん。試してみよう。
Gib moved to the back seat of the cabriolet, took his rifle from the guitar case, and lay down, holding it at the ready.
そこのブランケットをかけてライフルを隠してくれないか。通行人に見られると厄介だ。
I quickly grabbed the blanket and concealed the rifle from prying eyes. It looked strange, but people didn't expect there to be a sniper of all things.
標的を捉えたが、やはり館内の見物客が車線上を横切るな。タイミングは君に一任する。
はい。
If I made the wrong decision here, I could cause Gib to accidentally shoot someone. This was a grave responsibility. I've got to watch the cameras carefully and discern the best timing for him to shoot. Where am I looking in from? I'm looking in from camera 2, I think.
少し休憩しましょうか。これで OK？
So, wait.
ちょっと待ってください。庭園で話し込んでる人がいます。このまま撃ったら巻き込むかもしれません。
なんだと。くそ。確かに車線上に人が。
A young man and a woman, likely a couple, had come to a stop in the middle of the garden and were admiring the scenery.
のんきに庭園で立ち止まってるんじゃね
I mean, that's the whole point of them going there. I heard Ash click his tongue in ire. The purpose of a garden was for people to relax and admire the scenery, so we couldn't fault them, but we had to make them leave as soon as possible. What do I do? Let's wait and see. Ash chased them out. Well, let's wait and see.
少し様子を見ましょう。今下手に動いて騒ぎになるのは避けた方がいいと思います。
ああ、時間がないが、この状況では仕方あるまい。
After waiting for a while, I spotted the couple admiring the garden slowly leave with a languid gait.
ジブさん、今です。
わかった。
He pulled the trigger immediately. In the security camera, I watched the glass shatter into pieces. Panic erupted in the gallery.
ラミー君、王冠は？
無事だ。セキュリティは作動してない。大丈夫、いける。ってマジ？
Rom, who'd started sprinting over to the exhibit stand, abruptly stopped. Something wasn't right.
ラミー君、どうしたの？
まずい。出入り口がシャッターで塞がれた。
嘘、そんなセキュリティがあるなんて知らないんだけど。
おいおいマリー、急に大きな声を出したりして怖い夢でも見たんだね。
Hamiel's smooth voice covered for Sally, who'd instinctively shouted in surprise. I hurriedly checked the security cameras. Just like Rami said, all the exits from the white gallery had been closed off by metal shutters. Guards rushed over to the display stand and its shattered glass, shouting over what was going on.
こちらからもシャッターが閉じているのが確認できます。おそらく警備員が手動で閉じたのだと思います。
参ったな。王冠は目の前なのに、これじゃ取っても逃げ場がないよ。
ラミー君はまだ動かないで。多分まだ疑われてないはずだから。
うん。警備員が閉じ込められた人を一箇所に集めて王冠に近づけないようにしてるけど、何が起こったかはまだ分かってなさそう。
For Rami to obtain the crown and escape, we had to open the shutters somehow.
サリー、遠隔操作でシャッターを開けられない？
今、警備システムを端から見てるけど、そのシャッターは物理的にロックされてるから遠隔では操作できないよ。警察への警報は切ったけど。
I know. What excellent security measures. This is actually not as good as the real security measures.
この博物館、古すぎていろんなシステムがアナログすぎ。それなのになんで警備システムはこんなに複雑なの？なんかおかしいんだけど。
Or actually, I should say the real security measures are not as good as this. If we learned anything from the thefts at the Louvre recently.
開けられないならぶち破ればいい。神ならできるだろう。
これくらいのシャッターであれば爆破は可能ですが。
Camus checked over the shutters from where he was in the red gallery.
ラミー君の閉じ込められた白のギャラリーの出口は3カ所ですね。どの扉に爆弾を仕掛けましょう？
The white gallery is the only one that's clear. Red gallery is where he is at. Oh, the garden, I guess, is free. Yeah, the red gallery, there's a security guard there. But the garden looks like it's safe.
大事なことは忘れないようにね。
これでいいか。
なるべく建物や展示物に被害を出したくないので、庭園から扉を破壊してください。ラミー君が脱出できればそれで十分です。
爆薬の量を最小にして使用します。ラミー君は念のために室内にいる人を扉から遠ざけてください。
Kamu began sprinting into the garden.
ちょっと何その無茶ぶり。
While Rami was still baffled, Kamu appeared in the garden.
あ、窓の外に爆弾を持った怪しいやつがいるぞ。きっとあの扉を破壊するつもりだ。みんな逃げろ。
Oh, well, his distraction is just telling the truth.
ひでえ。あっさり味方を売りやがった。
That drew the people's gazes to the windows, and Kamu in the garden beyond them.
いや、僕が決して怪しいものでは。
いや、それは無理あるでしょう。っていうか、うわあ、あいつテレビで見た逃亡犯の爆弾魔だ。すっげえやばいやつだ。
Hearing that, the people in the main hall burst into panic and began running away from the garden doorway.
その通りです。僕はかなりやばい爆弾魔です。怪我したくなければこの扉から離れてください。
Oh, okay. Kamu waved his bomb about as he approached the White Gallery. Anyone who was still hesitating finally scattered.
爆弾をセットしたら、カミュさんも外に逃げてください。
Since he stood out like a sore thumb, it was better for him to flee from the museum as soon as possible.
了解。爆発まで10秒。離脱します。
Kamu planted the explosive on the shutters before running directly to the entrance.
ハミエルさんとサリーも事務員の隙を見て博物館の外に逃げてください。
わかった。おい、マリー、そろそろ行こうか。
うん、ちょっと待って。もう少しで終わるから。
Sally seemed to be still investigating something, but since Hamaya was with her, she was in good hands. The next moment, a small boom echoed. When I checked the cameras, the shutters separating the White Gallery and the garden had been twisted and crushed. A big chunk of the shutters had been blown away, but there didn't seem to be any other major damage. I breathed a sigh of relief.
ラミー君。
よし、脱出ルートが確保できた。特に被害もなし。それじゃ王冠をいただいてとんずらするよ。
Taking advantage of the stir after the blast, Rami snatched the crown from the exhibit and ran away at lightning speed. He'd been so fast that the guards hadn't noticed for a few beats that the crown had vanished. They finally realized when Rami rushed out into the garden. Rami darted out into the open air, where Ash was still standing by.
王冠を手に入れたようだ。
As Ash approached Rami, and the guards chasing after him, and got into a fighting stance to back him up. Oh, does he need to stay? I don't think he needs to stay. I think Rami can take care of himself.
これでいいのか?
Yeah, get out of there first.
アッシュさんは先に脱出してください。
だが王冠を持ってるラミーを援護した方が良くないか。
いえ、アッシュさんは王冠を持ってるラミー君をバイクに乗せてすぐに走り出せる準備をしててください。ラミー君を私が外に誘導します。
そうか、わかった。
Blending in with the crowd of visitors fleeing the explosion, Ash sprinted to the entrance. With how agile Rami was, he'd be able to escape safely as long as I indicated a route. Then I could leave him to Ash, who'd be waiting outside the museum. I've got to help Rami escape outside somehow. Let's see, escape from the entrance. No, there's a guard there. Red gallery is a guard there. Green gallery looks safe.
ラミー君、緑のギャラリーに逃げて。そっちには今警備員がいないから安全だよ。そこからエントランスの方に回って。
オッケー。
アッシュさん、ラミー君が出てきたら バイクをスタートさせてください。
ああ、任せろ。
The loud revving of the bike's engine echoed out from the museum's entrance as Ash made his preparations. All that was left to wait for was Hamiel and Sally to leave the office before we got away too. Well, that's a weird sentence. All that was left was to wait for Hamiel and Sally to leave the office before we got away too.
ハミエルさん、
まずいぜ。問題発生だ。
どうしましたか？
やられた。ラミーが持ってる王冠は偽物だ。事務室の連中が話しているのが聞こえた。今日展示されていたのはレプリカだったらしい。
うわ、本当だ。この警備システムで展示台の上のレプリカと本物を入れ替えられるみたい。通りで無駄に複雑なシステムなはずだよ。
そんな。
We'd come so far, only to obtain a counterfeit. My mind went blank.
今なら本物を展示台の上に出せるけど、ラミ君取りに行ける？
気軽に言わないでよ。さすがに追いかけっこしながらあそこまで戻るのは厳しいって。
だったら僕が取りに行きましょう。
Kamu's gonna steal it? Kamu, who'd returned to the cabriolet, started back towards the museum. I frantically detained him.
待ってください。カミさんはもうたくさんの人に顔を見られてます。車の中に隠れててください。
確かにそうですが、では本物の王冠は諦めるということですか？
こうなってしまっては、このまま偽物の王冠で交渉に挑むのも一つの手だが。
そろそろ逃げた方が良さそうだ。パトカーのサイレンが近づいてきてる。客の誰かが通報したんだろう。
どうする？
Rami was still being chased, so he was out. Ash was waiting for Rami outside the museum. Gib was the cabriolet's driver, so he couldn't move either. Hamiel, can you go steal it? I'll go get it? Oh my god, why would I go get it? That would make no sense.
だから少し休もっか。
That probably means that that's the right choice. Okay, I'll go get it.
私が行きます。
それはあまりに無謀ではありませんか？
ダメだ、危険すぎる。待つんだ。
Shaking off Kamu and Gibbs' attempts to detain me, I rushed out of the cabriolet. Right now, I was the only one who could move freely. There was a clear choice laid out for me.
おい、どこ行くつもりだ？
ハッシュさんはラミー君をお願いします。
I shouted at Ash, who was straddling the bike before I sprinted right into the museum. Evading the guards at the entrance who tried to stop me, I kept sprinting. I burst out into the garden and toward the exhibition hall. I mean, this is still a bad idea.
何やってんだよ。
Startled by my sudden appearance, Rami shouted.
本物の王冠を取ってくる。ラミー君はこのまま逃げて。
Those were all the words I left him before I raced across the garden.
サリー、本物の王冠を出して。
わかった。王冠が出てくるまで30秒くらいだよ。
わかった。サリーたちはもう逃げて。
うん。でもお姉ちゃんは？
私は大丈夫だから。ハミエルさんはサリーをよろしくお願いします。
くそ、行くぞ。この騒ぎに乗じて外に出るんだ。
Knowing Hamiel could handle it, I put them out of my mind to focus on the task at hand. Yeah, she's really grown as a person, going from incredibly timid and incredibly moral to, yeah, I'll just run in there and steal the crown. When I rushed into the hall, I was just in time to watch the crown rise up from the exhibition stand. The guards were thrown off by the sudden turn of events.
どうなってるんだ？本物の王冠がどうして？
Taking advantage of their confusion, I reached out and snatched the crown, just like that.
待て！
I'm a terrible runner, though. I sprinted into the garden with the crown in my arms, but guards appearing from all directions I was cornered with no way out.
おい、もう観念しろ。逃げ場はないぞ。
The guards gradually closed in. They didn't give me a single gap to slip through. I was done for, I thought, but then a piercing explosion resounded in the area. An unbelievable sight unfolded in front of my eyes. A familiar motorcycle broke through the entrance door and rammed into the garden. The engine roared, intimidating the guards, and the bike drove directly at me, Ash at the handle of the ferocious metal beast. I gaped at him, shaken by his daredevil choice to break into the museum on a bike, and then... He hollered as he made a sharp turn in the middle of the garden. I jumped into the sidecar as he drove by, and we bolted out of the museum without losing any momentum. Ash weaved between fleeing visitors to freedom.
Mika は回収した。そっちも車を出せ。パトカーがすぐそこまで来てる。
Stand out with your boy. What an exciting little caper. Ash accelerated the bike until we caught up to the cabriolet and ran parallel to it.
はい、王冠は無事です。
バカ野郎、そういう心配をしてるんじゃねえ。そんなもの俺たちが何とかしたんだよ。素人が勝手な真似してるんじゃねえ。
本当だよ。いきなり庭園に現れた時は何事かと思ったからね。びっくりさせないでよね。
何事もなかったから良かったものの、一歩間違えばあなたが捕まっていたかもしれないのです。それではクリステルも助けられなかったでしょ
もうお姉ちゃんの無茶には慣れたつもりだったけど、今回のは今までで一番の無茶だったからね。ちゃんと反省してよね。
そういうことだ。心配させんじゃね
ごめんなさい、みんな。
All their words hit a sore spot. I knew that their worry for me was genuine, so I could only meekly apologize.
とにかく無事でよかった。時間がない。このままベネツィアへ向かうぞ。
はい。
Now, with the Corona d'Argento as our prize, we made our way to the negotiation site in Venice. Oh, you know, the squad loves her. They have a right to scold her. August 1st, 2028, Italy, Venice, Tuesday, 12:46, Venezia, Santa Lucia. When we arrived at Santa Lucia station in Venice, there was already someone there to receive us.
お待ちしておりました。犯罪者ご一行様。てめえ。
Ash pulled back his arm to punch him instinctively, but Gib held him back before throwing a sharp gaze in House Steward's direction.
クリステルはどこだ？
おやおや、ティータイムを楽しむ余裕もないとは。せっかちでいらっしゃいますね。
そりゃ取引まで時間がないんだ。飯も食わずに一仕事してきた俺たちをねぎらってもらいたいもんだよ。それでどこなんだ？
まさか騙したとか言わないよね。
Hamil and Rami both glowered at House Steward with murderous eyes.
クリステルは？
彼女はどこですか？
クリステルを返してください。でないと王冠は渡せません。
ご安心ください。再会のご用意をしてございます。
Arrangement? What is he playing at?
車内でお待ちでございます。
House Steward directed his hand towards the entrance of the station.
車内ってことは列車に乗せられているってことか。
では今すぐ。
我が主人の命によりお連れできるのはお一人様のみ。マダム・アマミネのみだと伺っております。
Oh, of course they want to capture us both. Well, this is a dumb plan.
何言ってんの？今すぐここに連れてくればいいじゃん。
私どももあなた方には幾度も辛酸をなめさせられておりますからな。慎重になるのはやむを得ませんでしょう。私どもがここへ連れてくれば、あなた方は取引を放棄して連れ去る。そう我が主人はお考えです。
随分と信用されてないみたいだな。
当然でございましょう。我が主人の大切な拠点の一つで暴れ回ったのですから。
Yeah, I mean, they're not gonna honor this negotiation. They're just gonna take them both away.
拠点の一つか。
でもお姉ちゃん一人でなんて行かせられないよ。サリーじゃダメなの？
そうだよ、僕が行く。
我が主人の命は絶対です。野蛮な犯罪者どもとは元より話すつもりはないとのことでございます。罪を望んで犯さないものでなければコローナダルジェントの運び手にふさわしくありませんから。
俺らに罪を犯させといてよく言うぜ。
彼女に危害を加えるようであればこちらも手段を選ばない。それを
ご安心ください。列車での旅行を楽しまれる他のお客様にご迷惑をおかけするような無粋な真似は私どももいたしませんよ。
彼女に危害を加えるようであればこちらも手段を選ばない。それは分かっているか？
You know what it is? I think Gibbs' voice actor has longer pauses than all the other voice actors in between his sentences. That's why I think he's done talking, but he just pauses longer.
取引に来られるのは彼女お一人だけです。他の者が列車に乗り込めば予定通り入り側は神に捧げられるでしょう。
Yeah, they never ever planned to sacrifice Heiliger. It was all just a ruse to get them to steal the crown and to capture Mika.
列車の出発はもう間もなく。3分以内にチェックインしなければ乗れません。決断をお急ぎください。
3分？
花から決断させるつもりがないじゃないか。
お姉ちゃん行っちゃダメだよ。絶対罠だって。
Yeah. It's so obviously a trap. I mean, these guys cannot be trusted. But, you know, I have to say I can't abandon Crystal.
でもクリステルを見捨てられない。それにもともと私はクリステルの記憶を読むために狙われていただけでしょ。彼らが用済みというなら私も同じはず。お願いラミー君、王冠を私に渡して。
Rami knew that we didn't have a choice other than to do their bidding. He handed over the Corona d'Argento without a struggle. The crown felt heftier than before, perhaps because now it was Crystal's life in my hands.
クリステルが無事なのはもちろん大事だよ。でもミカ自身の安全だって大事だってこと忘れないでね。とにかくクリステルを連れて無事に帰ってくること。これ約束だから。破ったら罰ゲームだからね。
Of course, Camu can just plant bombs on the train and blow it up as soon as they board. You know, safely. Yeah.
ミカはすぐに無茶するからさ。あんまりハラハラさせないでよね。
Wait, why did I only get 2 feathers? Only got 2 feathers for that? Whose did I get? I guess I would have got Sally and Ramu? Or Rami? Man, I have like nothing for Hamiel. Almost nothing for Ash. Arbar is getting there, though. Yeah, that's a good point. She actually calls her by name instead of just saying bestie. To ease my nervousness, both Sally and Rami gave me some encouragement and reminded me of the reasons I absolutely had to return. It made me happy to hear again that they cared about me, and it gave me the courage to step forward.
列車は次にインスブルックで止まるはずだ。車でそちらに先回りしている。
When I passed by him, Gib whispered into my ear. I gave him a nod before I ran off to board the train. Ooh, are they going to attempt a daring escape while the train moves? That would be even better. By the time I finished checking in and got to the platform, the train was mere moments from departing. I was about to get on alone when house steward reached out to me.
それではマダム、乗り込む前にこちらはお預かりいたしましょう。
Huh? I was about to ask for clarification, but the next moment my earpiece was suddenly in his hand. I hadn't noticed him take it, or even noticed him move. I went to take it back, but the train blew its warning whistle. All I could do was jump on board before the train started to chug away.
では、行ってらっしゃいませ。良い旅を。
As if he were a real butler sending me off, house steward bowed reverently to me on the platform. Without my earpiece, I couldn't give everyone status reports in real time, but the train indifferently gained speed and left the station behind. Italy, August 1st, Europe Express, 2028, 1634, Tuesday, cabin. I know, this guy's a real sneaky bastard. Huh? I hope Crystal is doing alright. Since I jumped into the train moments before departure, I didn't have time to search for Crystal before the agents in black had surrounded me. Naturally, I couldn't put up a fight against them or call for support from my teammates. I could only follow dutifully as they escorted me to this cabin. An agent ordered me to stay put until Chancellor called for me before he locked me inside and left. That was 3 hours ago. Maybe this is a trap after all. Of course it's a trap. What do you mean maybe? I didn't even get to catch a glimpse of Crystal. Time trickled away mercilessly, or meaninglessly. My anxiety was coming to a peak when the train slowly came to a stop. Wait, the first stop was supposed to be Innsbruck, but I didn't think we were there yet. I rushed over to the windows and looked outside. Our stop didn't look like a train station. I couldn't tell what was going on from here, but the other passengers must have been as confused as me. What in the world is going on? I didn't have time to wonder for long before the steam whistle rang out and the train began moving again. At the same time, an agent came into my cabin. Chancellor must have been calling for me now. The timing couldn't have been a coincidence. Did the train stop for Chancellor to get on board? If that was true, then House Steward's claim at Santa Lucia Station about Crystal waiting for me in the carriage was just bait to separate me from the others. I won't let Crown do as they please. Crystal, guys, wait for me. I whispered that into my heart before following the retreating form of the agent. They're sending us to a country worse than France? Well, that's only a handful of countries. The man led me to the dining car. A great number of ordinary passengers were present. They were wearing fancy clothes as they enjoyed their meals gracefully. Of course, I'm kidding about France. I have a couple friends in France, and I love them dearly. Yeah, occasionally I disagree with the government. Occasionally, especially in the past. A great number of ordinary passengers were present. They were wearing fancy clothes as they enjoyed their meals gracefully. Within the crowd, I spotted Chancellor together with Crystal, pretending they were parent and child.
Mika!
When she spotted me, Crystal tried to stand from her seat, but Chancellor pressed down on her hand and pinned her there. I think kidnapping a child is also bad manners, but okay. His voice was alarmingly warm and gentle. Hearing Chancellor's chiding, Crystal's expression clouded over. I tried rushing up to him, but agents stood in my way. I'd known this was going to happen. There was never a world where our negotiation over Crystal would go peacefully. Fortunately, normal passengers who had nothing to do with Crown surrounded us. I told myself they couldn't do anything too rough with witnesses around. At Chancellor's command, the agent swiftly made way for me. I walked through the path in between the men and approached the table where the pair were sitting.
先にクリステルを離して。
手荒な真似はしたくないのです。他の乗客が何事かと不審がるでしょう。
They should already be suspicious with a bunch of, black suited top, hat wearing folks all over the place. Yeah. Chancellor gave me a wide, commandeering smile as he ordered me to sit down. Wondering what was going on between us, the other passengers began to sneak glances and stare. I mean, it's okay if they look. They could be suspicious and then report all this weird stuff, right? A server pulled my chair out for me, and I sat down across from Chancellor. Then appetizers and wine were placed before me.
どうぞごゆっくりお過ごしください。
I wouldn't trust the food or drink either. The display of food and the flowers on the table were stunning. It was such an absurdly elegant scene that it almost made me laugh.
さあ、コローナダルジェントを無理やり奪いたくはありませんからね。どうかあなたの手でそれを私に。
Wait, didn't I hand it to House Steward? He spoke with a smirk laced with a hidden edge. I begrudgingly placed the Corona d'Argento on the table. Oh, I guess I held on to it. Whatever. I guess I misunderstood what happened there. Chancellor reverently took the crown into his hands. His eyes softened as he looked it over, taken by rapture.
これがコローナダルジェント。
He admired it for a while, maybe checking that it was genuine. After that, he put the crown inside an attaché case he'd prepared in advance.
確かに本物のコローナダルジェントを受け取りました。実に素晴らしい。
Though he smiled, it didn't reach his eyes. I didn't have to touch him now to see his ice-cold heart. I almost flinched as I worked up the courage to speak.
これで約束は果たしたわ。クリステルを解放して。
But Chancellor only narrowed his eyes with amusement. He intertwined his fingers and stared unblinkingly at me.
コローナダルジェント。かつては各国の王や時の権力者なども体感したとされる最古の王冠。まさにこの王冠が正当に輝く瞬間を見たいと思いませんか、アコライト。いや、コローナダルジェント。かつては各国の王や時の権力者なども体感したとされる最古の王冠。まさにヨーロッパの王が体感するにふさわしい王冠です。
Yeah, all these slow-speaking voice actors.
この王冠が正当に輝く瞬間を見たいと思いませんか、アコライト。いや、エレナの落とし子よ。
Elena was my mother's name. Shocked to hear a name I'd never expected from his lips. I sat there, frozen. Oh, I mean, of course he knows my mother. What? I highly doubted it was mere coincidence. This man knew my background. I shuddered as goosebumps rose on my skin. But how?
どうしてあなたが母の名を。
I don't even know how this could be remotely shocking, considering the amount of information these people have. In the long, silent second that followed my question, Chancellor smirked, savoring his entertainment.
おや、そうでしたか。
He was evading the question. In that moment, I felt more disgusted by him than ever before.
答える気がないのなら、あなたと話すことはもうないわ。クリステル、行こう。
そもそもどうしてあなた方にクリステルを連れて行く正当な権利があるとお思いですか。
火あぶりにすると言っているような人たちのもとに置いておけるわけがないからよ。
火あぶりにすると。はて、それは誰が言いましたか。
でも電話であなたたちが。
私がハイリガーを火あぶりにするなどそんなことをするわけないでしょう。コンサートマスター、彼は指揮官ですから、あなた方が動きやすいよう指揮をしたまで。クリステルを殺すなどとんでもない。彼女は奇跡の少女。我らがクラウンの 大切な宝なのですから。
He never planned on killing Crystal. Yeah, I mean, duh. I was relieved, but at the same time, it was like my body had caught fire with fury.
私たちを騙して盗ませたの。
騙していただなんて人聞きが悪い。あなた方が目的のために協力し合うお膳立てをして差し上げたまで。おかげであなた方は見事にやってのけた。他の者では成し遂げられない連携で司法を盗み出したのですよ。実に素晴らしい。さすがは私が選んだポーンだ。
Clap, clap. His applause rang out, so benign that it was uncanny. I could tell he didn't feel even a shred of guilt for deceiving us. On top of that, what he had just said, he called us pawns. Did that mean everyone had been unjustly arrested for this? I was reminded again of how dangerous these people were.
やっぱりあなたのような人のいる場所にクリステルは置いておけない。
愉快なことを言う。あなたこそ彼女を誘拐し、何をするつもりですか？
誘拐しているのはあなたの方でしょ。
バカなことを。親が娘と共にいることを世間では誘拐とは呼ばないのですよ。
Parent? Daughter? I couldn't believe he was serious. I stared at Chancellor. He smiled mildly.
養子縁組ですらない。正真正銘、血のつながった親子です。彼女と私を引き離そうとするあなた方こそ、法の裁きを受けるべきなのですよ。
No way. Again, not surprising. It had to be a lie. I looked at Crystal. However, she only gazed at me with sorrow in her eyes.
さあ、クリステル。あなたも言ってやりなさい。この私が父親だと。
私。
Crystal looked at Chancellor with fearful eyes. Her trembling lips moved to say something, but she cut off and shook her head. Crystal was rejecting this man. No matter what the truth was, that fact was enough for me.
クリステル、私と逃げよう。
I stood up and reached out to her, but as I tried, someone held me down. An agent in black had appeared behind me before I knew it and was pressing down on my shoulders, not allowing me to stand up.
お静かに。ここは食堂車ですよ。
離して。約束を破るの？
モナークはクリステルの命と引き換えにコローナダルジェントを盗み出せと命令したまで。あなたの無事とハイリガーの自由は一度も約束していないはずですよ。
Oh, I don't think that's true. They did guarantee her freedom and her safety.
嘘よ。電話で確かに。
用済みとなったハイリガーと交換すると確かに言ったでしょう。だが残念ながらここには用済みになった人間は一人もいません。ハイリガーもアコライトも私には必要な存在なのですから。クリステルが言葉を取り戻したとしてもあなたの利用価値はまだ続くのですよ。すべてはコード・アエテルニタスのために。
Chancellor smiled broadly, and I stared at him, astounded. I realized all too late the web of lies they had spun to lure me here. I mean, she is really naive, so... These people never planned on going through with the agreement from the very beginning. Yeah, well. That was when Crystal picked up the cutlery from the table and threw it at the agent holding me down. The man behind me leaned to dodge the projectile. Instantly, I shook his hand off and broke into a run. Crystal ran over to me, and I grasped the hand she held out. The moment I held her hand, her emotions flowed into me. She wanted to go with me, anywhere that wasn't here, anywhere away from him. Even if the law was on their side, I didn't want to let go of her hand ever again.
クリステル、逃げよう。
We evaded the agents in black and ran faster than we ever had, our lives on the line. The glasses on the table crashed and an uproar took over the dining car in the blink of an eye.
一体何が起きたんだね。
Oh, I would have figured everybody in the dining car would have been with the organization, but well. I fled from the alarmed shrieks and commotion behind me, pulling Crystal's hand as we ran along the jolting train. Sorry, this late at night, I talk all day for my job, so talking, through a long period at night also kind of screws me up a little bit now. We left the dining car and sprinted down the aisles. It was a straight shot to no escape. I had no idea what to do. The train was still far from the next station. If I led us to the cabin indicated on my ticket, all I'd achieve would be our immediate capture. When I glanced over my shoulder, I saw agents hot on our heels. They were going to catch up at this rate. I've got to get Crystal to safety, at the very least.
クリステル、この客室に隠れて。私がここは食い止めるから。次の駅へ着いたらみんながいるから。ダメ。もう私のせいでミカが捕まるなんて嫌。
Before I could finish my sentence, Crystal rushed out and rammed herself at the agents. Oh wow, she's a brave girl. The agents seized her within their grip. Crystal was smiling as if to reassure me that she was all right. The men forced Crystal to stumble into the opposite carriage and the door closed. She was taken right before my eyes all over again. Right then, the door to the opposite car opened to reveal other men in black rushing inside.
チャンセラーの命令だ。早く捕らえろ。
I couldn't waste my opportunity Crystal had given me. I rammed into one of the agents in black coming my way as hard as I could. The men crumpled to the ground, probably taken aback by my resistance. I jumped over to them and ran towards the rear car, away from where they'd taken Crystal. Before I went in to save her, I needed a weapon. The door opened to reveal a wide corridor. Running for dear life, I entered a nearby cabin. I slammed the door shut and locked it, then scanned the room for anything useful. I had to hurry back to Crystal. The poor girl clearly hated being here.
どこへ行った？走る列車の中で逃げ場はない。キャビンを端から調べていくぞ。
This is bad. I heard them opening cabin doors to check inside. Desperate for a weapon, I tore through the shelves and found a fire extinguisher. Oh, that's pretty good. I grabbed the extinguisher and waited for the agents in black. But then I heard other passengers walk in my direction. Who cares about them? Spray them too.
それで先ほどお食事を控えられていたんですね。
They sounded relaxed, typical of tourists. Judging by their voices, they had passed the cabin where I was hiding and were now headed towards the agents. I didn't hear any of the usual acknowledgement that happened when people passed each other in a hall, so the agents must have been looking elsewhere. This was my chance to escape. I made a mad dash out of the cabin. As expected, the agents in black were nowhere to be seen. I tiptoed through the corridor like Rami taught me, so the agents wouldn't notice I was here. The rumbling of the train echoed all around me. I needed to get out of this car right away and save Crystal. I crept towards the car Crystal was in, moving from one to the next while blending in with other passengers. Sometimes I stuck to the shadows. Eventually, I made it back to the dining car, where I could hear Crystal's voice. Crystal! I peered through the gap in the door, staying out of sight as I waited for the right moment to rescue her. I didn't see Chancellor anywhere in the dining car. There were only passengers and Crystal, who was surrounded by agents in black. Then I realized the train was slowing down. I looked out the window to see us nearing a station. Innsbruck Station should be our next stop. Well, maybe. The others were supposed to be waiting there. It was my chance to get off the train. Gripping the fire extinguisher, I burst through the door.
クリステル、口と目を閉じて。あ、わかった。
I took aim at the men surrounding her and shot off the fire extinguisher.
ちょっと、いきなり何なの？
おい、火事なのか？
My sudden action shocked the other passengers eating their meals. They began shouting in a panic.
お食事中にすみません。非常事態なんです。クリステル、こっち。
With the men still stunned by my entrance, I grabbed Crystal's hand and ran through the dining car. The train was approaching the platform of Innsbruck Station. We just had to get off as soon as the door opened. If we succeeded, the others could help us. Except things didn't go as planned. For some reason, the train didn't stop in Innsbruck. Of course it didn't. No way. Why? Perhaps the train only slowed down to pass by the station. The platform whizzed by, fading into the distance. We reeled in shock, then heard footsteps approaching.
クリステル、おとなしくしていなさいと言いませんでしたか?
Chancellor walked out of the train car at the other end. Terrified, Crystal took a step back. Several agents were already standing behind her. They were the ones I'd sprayed with the fire extinguisher.
入りがお静かに。
The men held her down. Now that I'd already used the extinguisher, I had nothing left to fight back with. But when I turned to search for a weapon, Chancellor grabbed my arm.
あなたも落ち着きなさい。あと数時間でリヒテンシュタインに入りますから、それまで列車の旅を楽しんでいれば良いのですよ。
Liechtenstein, huh? Back there?
リヒテンシュタイン。なんで？
The train wasn't due to stop in Liechtenstein. We couldn't possibly go there. He might have been bluffing. Chancellor merely smiled, calm as could be.
途中で我々を降ろすように指示してあるのです。もちろん、インスブルックを通過するよう命じたのも我々ですよ。
His smile didn't reach his eyes. He was brandishing Crown's power, boasting about how easy it is to control the train's operations.
アコライト、あなたには役目があります。さあ。
Though his voice was even, he was clearly being assertive. Chancellor pushed my back, nudging me towards the dining car. Would Crystal and I just wind up as their captives again? It was so frustrating, seeing how close I was to helping her escape. As the despair of being taken hostage once more set in, I heard glass shatter behind me.
Mika!
Of course it's the crew. I would expect them to bust in here. Rami kicked in the window, bursting through the broken glass.
Rami-kun!
Oh, we're having a little break for just Rami? Chapter 13, Rami, Scars. With the same strength he used to break in, Rami kicked Chancellor away. Rami grabbed my hand and ran from the agents in black.
でも、クリステルが。
僕じゃ二人も助けられない。早く！
Crystal was right there, but I couldn't save her. I looked over my shoulder and saw her desperately clinging to the agents, trying to hold them back. She was helping me again. Even though she was so kind and sweet, I couldn't save her. Cursing my own powerlessness, I ran along with Rami as my escort. Then the agents in black stormed towards us. At this rate, we would be surrounded.
こうなったらこっちから逃げるよ。
Rami dashed into a private cabin and threw open the window. The train was nearing a curve. The window gave us a view of the mountains. Up ahead, the train tracks continued across a bridge over a huge river. Was Rami thinking the unthinkable?
川に飛び込むんだ。
Of course.
待って、でも。
行くよ。
Not even waiting for my reply, Rami gripped my hand and leapt out the window. Yanked out of the train, I hurled through the air. Powerful gusts sliced at my ears as we descended. I didn't even have time to scream. My body slammed against the river's surface, plunging below. Just when I thought I saw the train plowing ahead, the strong currents swept us away. I was drowning. My waterlogged clothes were so heavy. I tried to swim, but my body refused to listen to me. I flailed against the currents, needing to reach the surface, but not knowing how. Right then, Rami hauled me up by the arm. I stuck my head out of the water and sucked in a breath. Holding me tightly, he frantically brought us closer to the shore. The river was flowing too fast, making it extremely difficult for us to swim across. The shore was so close, yet so far. All I could do was clutch his arm as we wouldn't get separated and try to catch my breath so I wouldn't drown.
現状を記録するぞ。
これで問題ありませんか?
Okay, we are approaching the hour, so why don't we stop it there? This is meowmurai. You've been watching Despera Drops, running on Nintendo Switch 2. Boy, that's a hell of a visual novel. Again, I'm very, very surprised at how good this is. I mean, it'd make a great movie if you could make a 12-hour movie. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. I will see you at the next stream.